Hello everybody, it's Lisa and welcome to a new video. So I'm going to be continuing on with my reading the Hunger Games for the first time videos, but now I'm going to be reading Catching Fire, which I should have got before I started this clip. It's currently Monday, March 16th, and I don't know when I'm going to end up starting this, probably soon, but I just wanted to start the vlog while I was wearing makeup. Hello. But I wanted to start this vlog when I was wearing makeup, when I sort of looked presentable, because I never look presentable in vlogs. We've been new. But yeah, I'm going to be starting this and reading this for the first time, and I'm really excited. I feel like this is when in the series I kind of don't know where the story goes. I knew what happened in the Hunger Games. I'd seen the movie a couple of times, but I've only seen the Catching Fire movie once, and it was in the movie theater, and I could not tell you one thing that happens. I think that's when the character Finnick shows up. Is that even how you say his name? I don't know, but I think that's the one where he shows up in. So that's all I got. That's all I can tell you about. So I'm very excited to get into this. I really have no idea what happens. And yeah, I will be vlogging the experience of me reading this for the first time, and I'm very excited when I actually start reading. Oh, there's a box right here. So yeah, I just wanted to start this vlog, give a little bit of an intro, and yeah, the next time you see me, I probably will be starting to read Catching Fire. Okay, it is the 23rd of March. I don't know when I started this video. It's been a little bit, but I finally started reading Catching Fire, and I have some things to discuss. So I have tabbed a couple of things that I just want to remember to talk about in the vlog, because this is the point in the series where I start to not know what's going on. Catching Fire and Mockingjay, especially Mockingjay, I really have no idea what's going to happen. So I wanted to tab some of the things I wanted to remember to talk about with you guys. We start out this book, I think like 6 months after the Hunger Games has started. There's like a halfway point in between each year of the games, of the Hunger Games. And at the halfway point, the winners of the Hunger Games, the past one, go on a tour. Am I making sense right now? I don't think so. But they go on a tour to just kind of remind people that the Hunger Games are still a thing and that people should remember to be scared. Basically, that's where we start out, and we see how Katniss is kind of dealing with everything from the past Hunger Games and where she's at now. And my first tab is to do with Gale. She's kind of talking about how the Hunger Games have kind of spoiled her time with Gale, and it says, "I keep hoping that as time passes, we'll regain the ease between us, but part of me knows it's futile. There's no going back." Hello? Love triangle, spoilers. But even I was saying, like, before I started reading this at the end of the Hunger Games, I don't know if I said it in my video, but I just don't see how her and Gale could work. I don't think he'll ever understand what she's been through, and I think that she has changed a lot since being in the Hunger Games, because that's obviously going to change persons, so yikes. So I think that that's an interesting thing to like start off the book. Like, at least she's aware that it's probably not going to be the same, but we'll see. I say as if I don't know who she ends up with, but it's fine. Also, another thing, a couple of these other tabs are about President Snow. So he comes to visit Katniss at her house before the tour has started, and listen, he is so creepy. I don't like him. I don't think you're supposed to like him. I think he's a bad guy. And I know a lot of people, when the news of the prequel kind of being about him came out, people were kind of scared that it was going to be like trying to make us sympathize with him. So I'm just going to keep my eye out on this character. I'm very intrigued to see like what he does throughout the rest of the series, but I already find him extremely creepy. But one of the things that he talks about is trying to prevent uprisings, which I think is really interesting, because I feel like that's what's going to end up happening in Mockingjay, or at least later on in this series, because Katniss and Peeta eating the berries as sort of an act of defiance against the Capitol, but also they're kind of presenting it as like they're in love with each other, so they couldn't be parted. And President Snow is kind of telling her that she needs to make it believable because they're trying to prevent uprisings. And I just think that that's so interesting, because I feel like that's what's going to end up happening. But I don't know, I just found that that's really interesting and also hinting at what's to come. But the thing that I find really creepy about him is that at the end of chapter 2, he goes up to Katniss and whispers in her ear that he knows about the kiss between Katniss and Gale. That is disgusting. I don't like that. That is absolutely disgusting and gross, and it makes me uncomfortable. So also, speaking of that kiss between Katniss and Gale, also weird. Like, why did I don't know. But those are all my thoughts so far. I'm probably going to do some more reading today, because we all self-isolating, we all at home, we all have nothing else to do, so probably will do some reading today. I think I'm going to be filming a journaling video today, or maybe 2 journaling videos today. I don't really know. I don't know what's gonna end up happening, but after that I probably will pick this up and get back into reading. I'm very excited, but also scared. Oh my god, my stomach just growled. I wonder if you can hear that. Okay, so it has been a couple of days since I've checked in with Catching Fire because, as you may or may not have noticed, I'm in a different room. So me and my sister decided to switch bedrooms because she has a bigger bedroom, a bigger closet. It's a lot brighter in here. It's just overall the better bedroom. And she's never home and I'm always home. So it just made sense. It is quite a bit of a disaster. I'm still, getting it all cleaned up, but I've been doing this the past 2 days. So I haven't done that much reading, but I have read a little bit since I last checked in. So I think the last time I filmed was when I was reading chapter 4 because I asked my friend Franny what chapters I should record my reaction to while I'm reading it, and she said chapter 4. But yeah, at the end of 4 there is a person who's in the audience that does the finger thing, the Hunger Games thing to her, and they end up witnessing him getting shot after they leave the stage. So that was quite dramatic. So they're continuing on with the tour, and I actually tabbed it. I did make a system for my tabs as well, because I was thinking way too hard about which colored tab I was going to use, so I just made a system. The party thing that's at the Capitol, at President Snow's house mansion thing, I think Katniss and Peeta are dancing, but Peeta says, "Maybe we were wrong, Katniss," and she says, "About what?" And he says, "About trying to subdue things in the districts." I think that's going to be kind of the start of Peeta and Katniss making a plan to rebel against the Capitol and what they're doing. I don't know. I'm so intrigued to see where this goes because I really do not remember how the uprising or the rebellion or whatever ends up happening, how it comes to be. It doesn't even happen. I'm assuming it happens. I really don't know much about that storyline, so I'm just really intrigued to see where this goes. We're definitely starting to see some foreshadowing and some suggestions of what's going to be going on, so I'm very intrigued to see where this goes. I am enjoying it. I feel like this one is a lot of people's favorite book. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like a lot of people really like Catching Fire, so I'm very intrigued to keep going and see what happens. But yeah, I'm gonna go eat some lunch, help my grumbling stomach, and I will check in with you guys eventually. Okay, just kidding. I'm back. It's been maybe 10 minutes since I last talked to you guys, but I was going through the tabs and I forgot to mention something. So something that I wanted to mention, which made me really like Katniss. I didn't dislike Katniss before all of this, but this part just really stood out to me. So this was when she was getting ready to go on the tours of all the different districts as the winner of the Hunger Games, and her prep team is getting her ready. They're doing her nails and her hair and everything, and they're talking about, they're kind of complaining about very superficial things, especially when compared to the life that Katniss and so many other people live. But then she goes on to say, "I feel bad about how I go around feeling so superior to them. Who knows who I would be or what I would talk about if I had been raised in the capital. Maybe my biggest regret would be having feathered costumes at my birthday party too." And I just really liked that. I think it was very self-aware. It's a very self-aware thought for a 16-year-old. That just really stood out to me, that she is aware that these people don't know what it's like to be in that situation, in Katniss's position. I don't know. I just liked that part, and it made me like Katniss a little bit more than I already had. So I just wanted to mention that. I thought that that was a great moment. I did it with a pink tab, which means it's something that I loved because, like I said, I did kind of make a system. Don't think I'm going to annotate many books from here on out. I think I just want to do these ones so that I remember what to tell you guys. So far it hasn't worked because I forgot to mention that, but it's fine. So I'm gonna go and actually do some reading, I think. I probably should continue to pick up my room a little bit because it's still sort of a mess. There's a huge pile of laundry that you cannot see, but I want to read instead, so I'm gonna do that. Hello, it is the next day. Room's still a mess, please ignore. So I haven't read anything today, but I did read like 60 or so pages yesterday, so that is a pretty decent amount with where I am mentally right now, but also like trying to get my room together. I've been kind of busy doing laundry and cleaning and nobody cares, so I'm gonna stop talking about this. But a couple things have happened that I want to talk about. So the first one is my preference so far on the whole love triangle thing, because I definitely feel like the love triangle is starting to become a bit more prominent in this series. Prominent? Is that the right word? I think part of it too is that I do know who she ends up with, so that is also playing in the back of my mind while I'm reading this. But seeing Gale and Peeta's reactions to her wanting to run away, I think says a lot about them. I think Peeta was a bit more calm when reacting to it, even though he would have, but he didn't think that she would. He went about it in a much more calm way. He didn't get angry with her, but then Gale was ready to go with her, which was nice to see that he was willing to do that for her. But at the same time, he like told her that he loved her and she didn't know how to respond, and then he got mad that she didn't know how to respond, like. And then Gale started to get upset about Katniss and Peeta having to be together and having to get married and everything, but it's like, that's not really the most important thing to be upset about. Like, I get that they're like 16. How old is Gale? Is Gale older? I can't remember if he's 16 or 18 or somewhere in there, but either way, they're 16-ish years old. I understand that being a frustrating thing. I can understand why they'd be frustrated, but at the same time, like, Katniss is with Peeta to survive. Like, she was just in the Hunger Games, a competition where they were fighting for their lives, and she still has to be in this relationship with Peeta to continue to survive because President Snow is not pleased with her, and it's scary. She's doing it for her and for him and for who she cares about, and yet he's mad about it. It's like, you think that she wants to do that? Like, I don't know. It just seems so, like, silly and stupid to be getting angry about when she's doing it to survive. So I don't know. That kind of bothered me, but, like, I still, like, I don't dislike Gale. I mean, I'm, like, a little angry with him for that moment, but I also, like, I still don't really have, I was gonna say I still don't care. It's not that I don't care. I just don't really have, like, that much of a preference yet, but so far, Peeta seems to be a little bit better. Plus, Peeta makes bread and cake, so, like, another point for Peeta, you know what I mean? Right after that argument that Katniss and Gale have, Gale ends up getting whipped because there's new peacekeepers in their district that are a bit more strict, quite a bit more strict, and Katniss ends up, like, jumping in between Gale and the guy whipping him, and she ends up getting whipped in the face, so that was quite intense. But on the same thought as the peacekeepers, she ends up going into the woods and meeting up with two people who are escaping from District 8, which is one of the districts that was, like, rebelling and rioting, and they say that they're on their way to District 13, which is the one that was, like, blown off the map and, like, doesn't really, like, exist anymore, because they think that there's people who are still actually there, and the Capitol just leaves them alone because they were, what were they? District 13's principal industry was nuclear development, so, like, the Capitol just leaves them alone because they know that they would be able to create something to completely destroy the Capitol. So I think that that's really interesting. I think it's funny that Katniss is, like, ready to lead a rebellion and, like, doesn't trust the Capitol and yet thinks it's, like, totally out of the question that there's people living in District 13. Like, sis. I know it's probably just for the plot and the drama and, you know, for the story to unfold a certain way, but it's like, is it really that unbelievable that there would be people in District 13? Like, Katniss, hello. So yeah, that's kind of where I just ended. She just met up with those people and now she's making her way back, and the, like, barbed wire fence or the electrical fence is now, like, working. So I don't know how she's supposed to get back under the fence, but I'll read and find out. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts so far. 1 point for Peeta, 2 if we count the fact that he makes bread all the time. That would be a bonus point for me. And also the whole District 13 thing. That is very interesting. I'm very intrigued to see where that goes. So yeah, I'm probably going to go and do some reading while I wait for some laundry to finish. My friend Franny said to record my reaction to chapter 12, and I'm about to read chapter 11, so I will probably check in when I'm about to start reading chapter 12. Alright, cool. Oh dear. The male and female tributes will be reaped from their existing pool of victors. Oh God. What? This book is too much. Okay. Okay, so it has been a couple of days since I last checked in. I think the last time I recorded anything was me reacting to past victors from past Hunger Games having to potentially go back in and compete again in the Hunger Games as like the third quarter quell or the 75th quarter quell or something. I don't know. Words. But District 12 only having Katniss, Peeta, and Haymitch. Katniss and Peeta were chosen, Katniss being the only option, but Katniss and Peeta were chosen to go back into the Hunger Games, so don't love that for them. What's funny is I do remember from when I watched the movie, I do remember Katniss and Finnick meeting, and I don't know why I didn't put two and two together because I knew that they were meeting before going into a round of the Hunger Games, but it didn't happen in the first book, so I don't know why I was so surprised by that happening in this book when I knew it. Like, I knew that that happened. I'm literally like that meme, like, why am I gasping? I knew that already. Me with this whole book. I know this information deep down because I watched the movie, but like everything that's coming up again, I'm gasping and I'm so shocked, and yet I know that I know it. So I am up to chapter 17, so I think we're about to get into the Hunger Games part 2. I don't know. I haven't really tabbed anything yet because it's just kind of been stuff leading up to the Hunger Games starting again and like all of the people meeting and how they're all very friendly and no one wants to kill anybody, and I just think that they shouldn't. What would happen if people went into the Hunger Games and just refused to kill one another? Would the Capitol just kill all of them and then that would be it? Like, that's probably what would happen, but anyway, they should just not do it. But also, I've been trying to figure out how to describe how I feel about the whole love triangle thing, and I think I've kind of figured out where I'm at with it right now. So I've come to the conclusion I care about the love triangle and the relationship and the romance and everything because it actually is a very important part to the plot. Katniss and Peeta having to pretend to be in a relationship and in love with one another no matter what they actually feel. But also Katniss and Gale having to pretend like they don't have a relationship no matter what they feel is such a big part of their survival. Like, President Snow is literally threatening Katniss and like she needs to pretend good enough or well enough to make people believe it, because if not, people are gonna die. So it is actually like such an important part of the plot and their survival, which I really like. I like that it's not just like a romance on the side of everything else going on with the government and the Hunger Games and everything. It's not just like random teen drama romance on the side. It's actually like really important to the plot. I really enjoy that part of it. So obviously, like, I care about these characters and I care about their happiness and I want them to end up with people where they'll be happy. But at the same time, like, I'm not really Team Gale or Team Peeta, at least not yet. Like, I'm not into the romance like that. I care about it because I care about them as characters and their survival and making sure that they're okay. But at the same time, like, I'm not like, oh my god, like, who's she gonna end up with? Team Gale, Team Peeta? I don't know. Like, that type of thing with it, it's not really important to me as of right now. That could change, but right now I'm just more so focused on it in the sense that I want them to survive. Did that make any sense? I don't know if that made any sense. I've been thinking about it so much that I feel like I didn't actually like articulate what I actually feel, but hopefully that made sense. I'm sure eventually something's gonna happen where I actually have an opinion, and like personally I prefer Peeta as a person, but like for the romance I don't really care. Like, I really don't have a preference yet. But I do care because it is such an important part of the story and the characters' survival and everything. I think if I had been reading these like when they were really popular and I was like a bit younger, I feel like I would have probably had more of an opinion on the relationship. I feel like I probably would have cared more. But right now, I just care about them surviving because people are dying. Whoever Katniss ends up with, it's gonna be fine. But people are dying. Like, that is my priority. So yeah, that's kind of my update for right now. I hope that made sense on the relationship part. I care because of the characters and their survival, but I don't care enough to have like a team yet. But yeah, I don't know if I said this earlier, but I'm up to chapter 17 and I think I'm going to try and finish this today. I've been having a really weird thing where I've been wanting to read, but I've kind of been having a hard time focusing. I'm not going to talk about it because you all know what's going on in the world right now, but that's kind of making it a bit difficult to focus on reading for more than like 20 minutes, but I have like 150 pages left. I could very easily finish this today, so I'm gonna try. And then if I finish it today, I might end up watching the movie tonight. We'll see. we'll see what ends up happening, but I will check in the next time something dramatic happens, because I feel like something dramatic is probably going to end up happening relatively soon. That's my update. Let me know if anything to do with my feelings on the relationships and the romance made sense, because it makes sense to me in my head, but I don't think I articulated that well. Okay, now I'm just babbling. I'll see you soon. What does he mean if it weren't for the baby? What? Wow. His mind. Peeta's mind. Did he just say that she was pregnant so that people would get mad about them having to go in? Huh? My camera battery died just as I finished that chapter. The same as my brain. My brain just shut down when I finished that chapter. What? Is Cena dead? Did they kill him? Did they just knock him out? And they dragged his limp body and there's smears of blood on the floor. Is he dead? Is he fine? Is he just knocked out? Is he dead? What happened? And now she's standing in like the middle of an ocean, lake, water spreading out in every direction. Huh? And then Peeta and then the baby, and then they're all holding hands, and they're all united, and then the Capitol's like, they couldn't shut it off in time, so people saw it. I'm stressed. Okay, well now I'm up to part 3, and it's called The Enemy. So I have a feeling this is just going to get more and more stressful, so I'm going to continue reading because what just happened? Okay, I gotta go. Okay, so I have officially finished reading Catching Fire. I've seen the movie and I just want to kind of talk about my thoughts with you guys. Also, ignore my wet hair. We know this around here. I'm always looking my best in my vlogs. That's a lie. But anyway, let's talk about Catching Fire because what was the second half of this book? It was a lot. I feel like the first half of this book, when they're kind of back in District 12 and like doing the tour and that part of it, there was a lot going on, but I feel like in the second half of this book it really started to pick up with the Quarter Quell being another round of Hunger Games with past victors. That was quite dramatic. I was very surprised about that. That whole Hunger Games and like the arena and everything I thought was terrifying. I thought that was a very scary arena, but I also liked that she kind of Katniss and Peeta ended up having alliances. I thought that made it quite different from the first one. It wasn't just like a repeat of what happened in the first book. I really enjoyed it in a weird way. I didn't enjoy people dying, but you know what I mean. Also, would risk it all for Finnick. I feel like I'm just gonna be even more in love with him. I've heard he gets even better in the third book, so I'm ready for that because I already love him. I said this to my friend Franny. Everyone's like Team Gale or Team Peeta. I'm Team Finnick. Not necessarily Team Finnick for Katniss. I'm just Team Finnick in life, you know? Also, just the way that everything ended up coming together in the end, like there being this bigger plan with the gamekeeper. Is that what his name? Gamekeeper? I don't know. The people, I can never remember the names of, apparently. I always have trouble with that. But how there was always this plan to get Katniss and Peeta and everybody who was rebelling against the Capitol out of the Hunger Games and like on their way somewhere far away from the Capitol. I can't remember if they say it in the book if they're going to District 13, but they said it in the movie, so I assume that's where they're headed. But yeah, the way everything kind of came together I thought was really cool, except it didn't come together quite the way that they planned. I think they had planned to get everybody out, but the Capitol ended up picking up Peeta, so I'm stressed. So Peeta is with the Capitol right now instead of with Katniss and like the good guys, which is kind of stressful because he's definitely going to be used to get information that he doesn't even have because they didn't know about the plan. Him and Katniss were left out of the plan on purpose, but they're gonna probably try and get information out of him and they're gonna use him to get to Katniss, and it's gonna be a mess. And I'm not ready for it. But even though I am stressed, I'm still really excited to get into Mockingjay because this is when I kind of start to not know what's going to happen. The way that this ended, first of all, is another reason I want to get into it as soon as possible. But I never saw the Mockingjay movies. I really don't know too much, I don't think, about what actually happens. So I'm stressed, but I'm still really excited because I'm not going to know much going into it because I never saw the movies. So I'm just really excited to read that finally. I'm gonna be reading it sometime this month because it is April 1st, so I'm gonna start it soon, I think. But yeah, I'm really excited to get into it and stressed and concerned, and I just want everyone to be okay. But the movie, on the other hand, I thought was really good. I feel like everyone loves the Catching Fire movie. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like everyone talks about how good of a movie it is and how good of a book to movie adaptation it is, and I really liked it too. I did take couple of notes on my phone about it because I wanted to remember when I was watching the movie what I wanted to say. The thing with District 13, they didn't have Katniss meet those people who were escaping from District 8 to tell her about District 13, but we do still get enough information about District 13 at the beginning and at the end for it to be like a big reveal that it exists. And I think that they just had to change that because you can't take everything from the book and put it in the movie, and I think just because it's a movie it made more sense to do it that way. So even though that was left out, I still thought it was good that that information was still there. Also, another thing is that they mention at the beginning Katniss and Gale are talking, and she's talking about how it was all an act with her and Peeta in the Hunger Games, and her like kind of acting as if she's in love with them to kind of get sponsors to send stuff in. That was my cat. Sam. Oh, hello. If you saw my Hunger Games vlog, you would know that I was saying that it didn't seem super clear that Katniss was acting in the Hunger Games to kind of get sponsors to send stuff in. She was acting kind of to be more in love with him to get stuff from the sponsors. Oh geez, Sam. Oh my god, this is a mess. But she was acting to be more in love with him to get stuff from the sponsors, and they mentioned that at the beginning of this movie between Katniss and Gale. She was talking about how it was an act, which I think was good because I think in the first movie it wasn't made super clear, but I think it kind of became a bit more clear in this movie. But if I didn't read the books, I think I would have been so confused on the love triangle because I feel like there's more kissing in the movie than there was in the book. I do know that certain moments when they were kissing did happen in the book, like they were directly from the book, but there were a couple kisses between Gale and ones with Peeta that I was like, did that happen in the book or am I completely missing something? It made me more confused about the love triangle than I was reading the book. So I do feel a bit more confused about how to feel about the love triangle watching the movie than I do with the book, but I still think I prefer Peeta, but we'll see what ends up happening. That's not really set in stone, like I said. Team Finnick. But yeah, I think that those were kind of all of my thoughts on Catching Fire. I ended up giving it a 5-star. I think I like this more than the first one. The first one was still really good, but I just feel like all of the characters that are introduced in this book and all of the relationships and everything between all of the characters, all the stuff that has to do with like the rebellion and the uprisings, I think made this book even more interesting than the first one. But the first one I still gave 5 stars, so like I'm enjoying both of them. But yeah, I'm very scared, but also very excited to get into Mockingjay. We'll see what happens with that. Will I cry? It's possible. But yeah, I think that is going to complete this video. So let me know your opinions on Catching Fire. Do you think it's the best movie, best book? Let me know any, preparations I should have going into Mockingjay without spoiling. Should I have tissues nearby? Let me know. But that's it for this video, so please, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below if you want to. Make sure you stick around to see my Mockingjay video. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.